Okay, on this Jersey City follow-up, before we turn over.
Law enforcement can do by law to stop all those social media, anti-Semitic social media accounts and then online.
So as I turn to the Commissioner, I'll say I think the bigger effort has to be made first to convince the social media companies to deepen their responsibility to stop all forms of hate speech. They are unregulated utilities. They must be regulated. And this is a growing conversation we're having in our nation. They can't keep claiming to be innocent, to be neutral. They're not. They're making a huge amount of money. And they're making money off of hate speech. Let's be real blunt about this. We're going to confront the dangers we face. We're going to get to a new level of bluntness because I wish people had been blunt in 1933 and 1938 and 1939, and millions of people might still be alive if that hadn't happened. So, if people actually had stood up and told the truth. So, and by the way, starting with the United States government. So just so anyone misunderstands my meaning, our own government failed to acknowledge the truths. So, right now, today, those social media companies are profiting in ways we can't even imagine, in part because they have become very convenient platforms for hatred. Time for them to own up to it, step up, end the hate. You would never see mainstream media, the outlets present here today, would never give a platform to that kind of hate speech. I can agree or disagree with any particular outlet or journalist at any given moment, but I would say everyone is united by that reality. They would not give a platform to that kind of hate speech. So the fact is, it's time for the social media companies to do something, and it's time for the government to step in and create regulation. And we all have to demand that and call it out for what it is. In the meantime, yes, there are some things law enforcement can do, and then there are other things that are harder because of the legitimate liberties we enjoy in this country. Do you want to speak to that?
This is a rabbit hole of a fascinating conversation, and you know, we put our hand up to uphold the Constitution of the state of New York and the U.S. Constitution, and I understand what comes with that, as does Rodney, Tommy, Martine, all members of the NYPD. And we defend that every day. We go out there and we allow people to voice their concerns and protests, and I truly believe that's what makes this city, this country, a great place. And we balance and have those discussions with many, particularly on social media and others. They're held to different standards. I think they have a responsibility, quite frankly, though, and I think leadership is about making tough, unpopular decisions. I think it's wrong morally on many levels, where you can go onto the internet. It may be protected speech, but that doesn't make it right. And find out how to put bomb-making instructions. How about punch a woman walking down the street and let's make a game of it? These are things that we've seen on the streets in New York City. I think it's disgusting that it's available on social media.
You know, just one other point about our country and its history, that definition that came out of I believe it was a Supreme Court ruling decades ago. We believe in freedom of speech. We'll always defend freedom of speech, but you can't cry fire in a crowded theater, that famous concept. Well, this is the equivalent. If you're putting bomb-making instructions online, that's not protected speech anymore in today's day and age, from my point of view. And that's something we need to act on. Please.
It's to follow up on that. I mean, you talk about regulation, but it's tricky, obviously, because it's protecting, there's the First Amendment and freedom of speech. So what kind of regulation should there be? How do you draw the line? What would you specifically propose?
I think, look, 2 points. One, I think these companies need to self-regulate. Social media companies need to self-regulate, and I do think that is starting to happen. By the way, their employees are